And you know what? Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years. They knew. Every one of them knew that Joe Biden was mentally not competent to do the job. The White House press secretary, she knew when she stood in front of the American people and lied over and over and over again. And they're not here because they can't defend themselves. It wasn't a surprise. For 4 years, the White House hid President Biden from Republican senators, would not let him meet with us. He served 40 years in this body. We all know him. And they deliberately lied. And by the way, Jake Tapper had a bombshell book.
Okay, so you just saw that clip. And if that didn't make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, I don't know what will. That's Senator Ted Cruz on the Senate floor, and he is not holding back. Honestly, good. Because somebody needed to say this. I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm not pretending to be neutral here. What Cruz is laying out is something a lot of people have been thinking for a long time, but nobody in power had the spine to say out loud. Not like this. Not with receipts. The auto pen. The frozen debates. The staffers pulling strings. The Democrats who won't even show up to defend themselves. This isn't a conspiracy theory anymore. This is a Senate hearing with legal experts being questioned on the record. And the question Cruz asks, who is actually running the country, should bother every single American regardless of what party you vote for. Because if the answer is, I don't know, that is a 5-alarm constitutional crisis. We're about to watch the full video, and I want you to pay close attention. Not just to what Cruz says, but how he says it. This isn't a campaign rally. This is a man who has done his homework laying out a legal case piece by piece. If you're new here, welcome. Hit subscribe because this is exactly the kind of content we break down on this channel. All right, let's get into it.
Thank you. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Biden administration may go down in history as the most brazen constitutional fraud in American history. A Potemkin presidency fronted by a failing puppet with staffers behind the scenes pulling the strings. This is not political hyperbole. The American people saw it with their own eyes during the June 2024 debate. Numerous times, Biden stood frozen behind the podium, mouth agape, eyes frozen and unblinking. When he did speak, his words were confused and disjointed. I said that night, this is the most consequential presidential debate in history because it will result in one of the two candidates being removed from the ballot. That was exactly right. And following that debate, the Democrats recognized the collapse. They pulled out their knives and took out President Biden like Caesar on the Ides of March. For all of their strutting about, protesting that they support democracy, not a one of them gave a damn about democracy when they pulled Biden off the ballot and dropped Kamala Harris in without a single Democrat primary voter voting for him. And you know what? Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years. They knew. Every one of them knew that Joe Biden was mentally not competent to do the job. The White House press secretary, she knew when she stood in front of the American people and lied over and over and over again. And they're not here because they can't defend themselves. It wasn't a surprise. For 4 years, the White House hid President Biden from Republican senators, would not let him meet with us. He served 40 years in this body. We all know him. And they deliberately lied. And by the way, Jake Tapper had a bombshell book exposing the incredible scandal that Biden's mental decline was covered up by Jake Tapper. There's a Yiddish word, chutzpah. And that truly is chutzpah. How dare we lie and cover up what we all knew? Now, I have been asked literally 1,000 times by Texans, who was running the country? And I'm going to give you the most terrifying answer. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And not a single Democrat here cares. The most telling proof of Biden's decline came with the signature of the president, the symbol of executive authority that was outsourced to a machine. Mr. Wold, you're a lawyer who served in the White House counsel's office. You understand the gravity of presidential action. Does the president's signature carry legal and constitutional weight under Article 2?
Yes.
Is the act of signing an executive order or signing a law or granting a pardon a delegable duty of the president?
So in that opinion in 2005 from OLC, they said essentially that an auto pen could be used by a subordinate, but the president's determination as to sign the document can never be delegated.
Can that authority be transferred to a staffer or a machine without the president's explicit authorization?
Never.
And if you look at the statistics are stunning. In 2021, President Biden issued 78 executive orders. None were signed with an auto pen. That first year of the presidency, Biden, I suppose, was relatively lucid, and 78 executive orders he signed by hand. The second year, however, we see the auto pen emerge. The first auto pen executive order was issued on July 15th, 2022. After that day, 100% of the executive orders issued in 2022 were signed by an auto pen. In 2023, Biden issued 24 executive orders. 16 were auto penned. In 2024, Biden issued 19. 14 were auto penned. In 2025, Biden issued 14 executive orders. Every single one was auto penned. Mr. Wold, let me ask you as a legal matter, if there's a law that's passed both houses of Congress and it goes to the White House, and a staffer auto pens signing that law without the president's authorization, is that law legally passed and signed into law?
No.
If an executive order is issued and a staffer auto pens it without the president's authorization, is that executive order legally binding?
No.
And if a pardon is issued from the President of the United States and a staffer auto pens it without the president's authorization, is that pardon legally binding?
No.
Under the Biden White House, the ceremonial song, Hail to the Chief, was effectively replaced with Hail to the Pen. And it was an outright assault on democracy. And every reporter covering this ought to ask, why doesn't a Democrat care? We heard about the moral responsibilities of a staffer. How about an elected senator who knows damn well that if we get into a war and Iran is preparing to fire a nuclear weapon at the United States, that the commander-in-chief is busy playing with his jello and is not competent to defend ourselves? And every member of the cabinet, the chief of staff, the press secretary, and the members of Congress who lied about this on a daily basis with the press's complicity, they are all responsible for subverting democracy.
Senator Cornyn.
Okay, now you've seen the whole thing. Let's get into it. First, let's acknowledge what's happening in that room. Cruz walks in like a man who has been waiting for years to say exactly this. And the detail that gets me every time? Not one Democrat showed up. Not one. And Cruz is right to call it out. If you had a good argument, you'd be in that room making it. Silence speaks for itself. Now the auto pen numbers, because I think this is the part people will skip over, and they really shouldn't. In 2021, Biden signed 78 executive orders by hand. Every single one. Then, in 2022, something changed. After July 15th, every executive order was signed by AutoPen. 100% of them. And it only got worse. By 2025, all 14 executive orders were auto-penned. Every one. I'm not a lawyer, but the legal expert in that hearing made it clear. If a staffer auto-pens a law, an executive order, or a pardon without the president's explicit authorization, it is not legally valid. That is not a political opinion. That is a constitutional fact. And that raises serious questions about every document signed that way. Then there's the moment Cruz says he's been asked 1,000 times by Texans who is running the country, and his answer is, I genuinely don't know.
Think about that.
A sitting U.S. senator with access to intelligence briefings cannot tell you who is making decisions for the most powerful nation on earth. That should scare you. Cruz also points out something people forget. Biden served 40 years in the Senate. His colleagues know him. They know what he looks and sounds like at his best. And they were deliberately kept away from him. That's not protective scheduling. That is a deliberate effort to stop people who would notice the difference from getting close enough to say something. Now, I know some people will say this is just partisan grandstanding. But grandstanding doesn't come with auto-pen statistics broken down year by year. Grandstanding doesn't bring in a White House legal expert to walk through constitutional implications on the record. This was methodical. And whether you like Cruz or not, you have to engage with the substance because the substance is serious. The line that sticks with me most is, "Hail to the chief" was replaced with "Hail to the pen." It sounds like a punchline, but it isn't. It's a summary of what Cruz is alleging. That the most powerful office in the world was being operated by people who were never elected and never authorized by the American public. Cruz is asking a foundational question here. Does the presidency mean anything if the person in the Oval Office isn't actually the one making the decisions? If the answer is no, and the evidence he's presenting suggests it might be, then every American should be demanding accountability. Not just Republicans. Everyone. Because democracy only works if the person with their hand on the wheel is actually driving. Drop your thoughts in the comments.
I want to know where you stand on this.
And if this video made you think, share it around because this conversation needs to be a lot louder than it is right now.